Hello and welcome. This is Claudia Sky. And in this video today, I'm going to share an experience I had about 4 years ago that completely changed the way I looked at myself or at any human being, as well as my perspective on what is happening today. And I'm sharing this with only one intention, and that is that it might inspire, encourage, and empower you. So at that time, I was already sitting in nature for several hours almost every single day, whenever I could, in meditation with the question, how can I live in my heart? And how can I be truly here? How can I know myself and be myself unconditionally, authentically, period? And many, many teachings would come in. And that one day, I remember when I received this, I was taken aback a bit because it was so strong and a bit scary because it was very powerful. And I was questioning it. I thought this could come from my mind. I'm not sure I want to follow that. That is maybe a rabbit hole I don't want to go down into. And the teaching was that we could purify or cultivate. We could cultivate our electromagnetic energy body as well as our light body in such a way, bring it into such a place of purity, strength, and coherence that we can heal ourselves, that we can access information in the quantum fields whenever we need to and want to, and that we can quite powerfully co-create with energy and consciousness alone. And while none of these three pieces were completely out of, like, I kind of knew that was possible for some people, but I thought you had to be an adept or a student of a secret society for a lifetime or do some rituals or things like that. And that is not something I was going to choose. So I just took that in and took a step back. However, the very next day, I found myself on YouTube, and that was during a time I actually didn't engage any social media. I wasn't reading any books. I didn't ingest any information from the outside because I wanted to be very deliberate in my process of receiving all these downloads and knowing that my mind wasn't pulling from other sources, but it was very much pure because I was taking notes and going through a process I could see. But that day I felt so drawn to open up YouTube, and I did. I followed that intuition, and a video popped in without me searching for anything. It just popped into that feed, and I clicked on it, and it was from somebody I did not know about at the time. And I'll make that video available as a link in the description below. The video was by Dr. Robert Gilbert from the Vesica Institute. And as soon as he started speaking, I knew why I had opened that, because he was saying the exact same thing. And I had never heard anybody speak to this before. It was the same thing. If you cultivated your energy in this way, then you would be able to do these things as a consequence. And so then I was like, wow, okay, then clearly it came to me for a good reason, and I'm going to experiment. And I did. And I never stopped. And after I could see what was happening within me, I began to share this with clients of mine that really knew and trusted me, that I knew were committed to the inner work. And of course, life gave me ample opportunities to prove to myself that this was valid, including a couple of years later, I came down with a bacterial infection in my abdomen. And as a former medical doctor, I knew what this was and I knew what I needed, which meant I needed IV antibiotics as soon as possible. And I did not go to the ER. I decided that this was not a random experience, but an opportunity to prove to myself something that I only knew in my head at this point. And so I did what I now call healing or wholeness through sovereignty, where I went into the space of sovereignty, and I just aligned my energies in such a way that I knew I could kick out this infection. And I woke up the next morning and it was completely gone and stayed gone. And I had other opportunities to prove myself that this really works when we have that relationship with ourselves and we have cultivated our energy and light body enough to be able to hold that, to be that. Accessing information has become quite easy. And also the process of co-creation, conscious co-creation. I've had enough experiences to know that this is a very valid point, which I'm still experimenting with. And so I'm sharing this here with only one intention, and that is to share something that is more powerful or inspiring and motivating and encouraging than anything else I have ever come across. Because every single person that were to take on something like this, these practice, these ways to become more empowered, to become more inspired, and to become more pure, will have the same results. This is a universal principle. And at this time where, again, we are so suggested that we are not that, it is the perfect remedy for what a lot of us are experiencing, because I see a lot of people being kind of hopeless, being confused, being disconnected, being unsure what to believe anymore. And when this chaos on the outside gets louder and louder, for me, that means nothing but it's more important to drop inside and find clarity and the answers within. And all our power lies within. All these, I mean, everything we need is there. We just need to access it. We can access it, and we can connect with the resources. And when we can do that from a place of clarity and self-love and understanding from within, it becomes quite easy to bring through solutions that are relevant at this time. And so to me, that was extremely hopeful, that at this time where more and more people are waking up to their multidimensional self, the fact that we are multidimensional beings, that we exist here on this physical plane as well as in not manifest planes, or in planes where we don't have a physical body, but we can tune into these levels of vibrations where we also exist and pull from that to bridge that higher knowing and these higher capacities into this world where right now it's quite relevant and quite needed. That is probably why I received these teachings, and why a lot of us, I believe, are receiving teachings of this nature, because it simply is. Recently, I've been on social media more often, and I hear people like not Dr., but Robert Grant speak to the exact same things that one can hear just by asking certain questions. All that exciting information is available to every single one of us. And we become a match to hearing it and to experiencing it when we do the inner humble work of purification of our mind, of our body, of our energy, and of our light. There's nothing else needed than doing it regularly, keeping the contamination, the hucha, the programming, the limiting beliefs, the trauma, all of that can be purified. And when we purify it, we come back to our center, to our wholeness, to our holiness. And whatever we resonate on, we resonate with that, and we'll experience that. And so we can experience this time of the great overturning, this new age that has already begun. We can experience that from different levels of consciousness. Some are very intensely scary and difficult, and some are very loving and come with a lot of grace and beauty. And nobody can do the work for us, and everything is available for us to be co-creators in this process and to bring something beautiful through our own divine life's purpose. Years ago, I learned that the word desire means of the Father, of God. So whatever your personal desire is at this time or in general, listen to that, feel that it is sacred. It is something your soul yearns for. It is probably the reason you're here today. It's not selfish, it's not self-serving, it's self-loving, and it is probably something that will bring beautiful things to many people. True life purposes always increase the whole. They always serve life. What if everything you needed to do that was already within you? You just don't know how to be with it, how to use your innately creative energies. So if any of that speaks to you, and if any of that spikes your interest, connect with me. This is the work I do. This is all I do anymore. I help people connect with these places within themselves from which they bring through what they're here to do. There is no magic pill. It takes time, it takes practice, and it's so worth it. So reach out to me if you're inspired. Share with me what you've learned along those ways. There's so much we can learn from one another. One of my favorite things is to work with the 7 sacred elements, the elements of thought or consciousness, of light, of sound, of air or ether, of fire, water, and earth, because we don't just have that outside in nature, we have that within ourselves. And that is what we cultivate. That was what we can steward into a prime place of expression and strength and beauty. And when we do that, our life will reflect that back to us. Thank you for listening.